essentially when you say that Pahalgam, because of Pahalgam, we will have to reconsider statehood, you're basically saying that Pakistan will decide what conditions are created for statehood to return. Unlike Delhi, where they said, Arvind Kejriwal को काम नहीं करने दिया, चलो BJP को करते हैं. Here it will be, इसको काम नहीं करने दिया, छोड़ दो. फिर क्या? रहने दो. कोई फायदा नहीं. When you don't get to decide who your officers are, it's not a pretty picture. If I was to tell Government of India, Prime Minister Modi, that he is not going to decide who the secretaries of his various departments are in the Government of India, or who the next Chief of Army Staff would be, or so on and so forth, how easy would it be for him to govern? Look, as governments go, for any government, it's a mixed bag. It's a challenge, and that's when the transition is from one elected government to another. Our transition was even more sort of unique. We transitioned from an unelected president's rule to an elected government. But for a lot of us, the transition has also been from a state government to a UT government. So let's just say it's been a steep learning curve. There are some challenges that are sort of legacy issues of Jammu and Kashmir. Foremost in that would have to be security, which is not the direct responsibility of the elected government. But clearly, we have to bear the consequences of any problems on the security front. And we are dealing with the consequences of the failure that resulted in Pahalgam. That failure has sort of manifested itself in ways beyond just the tourism numbers. So, the most obvious fallout of that is the decline in tourist numbers. But it's also had a very stark and very real impact on our GST earnings, cutting across sectors. So income from tourism is down, income from handicrafts, industry, that is down, as a result of which income from, let's say, fuel supplies, because the number of vehicles plying is less, so the amount of fuel sold is less, so GST earned on that is less. The economy has taken a very real hit because of what's happened in Pahalgam, and we are anyway a deficit economy. Unlike some territories, we don't have a surplus economy. We are even more dependent on Government of India than we would like to be. So in a position where your own earnings go down, it's not a comfortable position to be in. So these are sort of the legacy issues. Then of course there are the new challenges, which is to work in an environment that none of us are used to. I have been Chief Minister, but I've been Chief Minister of a state. I'm not used to a situation where the distribution of power is vague. It's on paper, it appears to be sort of very clear cut and well thought out. But the execution, it's very little of it is black and white. It's all different shades of grey. And you end up trying to figure out how to navigate those various shades. So, there have been numerous challenges, but that said, it's never been my nature to sort of cite adversity as some sort of an excuse. We knew things would be difficult. Perhaps we didn't know it would be this difficult, but so be it.
That has delayed the statehood. If that is the
case, it would be extremely unfair because it was not our failure. Who chairs the security review meetings? They are chaired in Raj Bhavan, not in the Chief Minister's office. No elected government has been responsible for an attack of this nature against tourists. None. Not Dr. Farooq Abdullah's government between 96 and 2002, not Mufti Sahab's government between 2002 and 2005, not Azad Sahab's government between 2005 and 2008, and not my government between 2009 and 2015. No elected government has seen an attack of this nature against tourists. So how can you hold the return of statehood hostage to something like this? And the wider concern, are we going to export this decision to our neighbor? Essentially what you're saying is that because of Pahalgam, statehood cannot be considered. But Pahalgam was not the fault of the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
True.
No local, other than one person you have arrested, there is no local involvement in the Pahalgam attack. You held Pakistan responsible for it and Operation Sindoor followed. So essentially when you say that Pahalgam, because of Pahalgam, we will have to reconsider statehood, you're basically saying that Pakistan will decide what conditions are created for statehood to return. In a theoretical situation, tomorrow if we again come close to statehood and they engineer another attack, again our statehood goes. So are we saying that Jammu and Kashmir's statehood will be decided first across the border, then in Delhi? Is that the message you're sending? Obviously, it should worry all of us, not just me, because I think it's important to understand Jammu and Kashmir is not Delhi. If this mandate is disrespected, if this elected government with a mandate from the people is sought to be rendered ineffective, if the main promise made to the people of Jammu and Kashmir goes unfulfilled, people's faith in democracy will go. So it's not, I would be comfortable in a situation where if the graph of the national conference goes down, some other party's graph will go up and things will balance off, which is what happens in Delhi and elsewhere in the country. My worry is, and I'm reasonably confident in this assertion, the graph of the elected government goes down, it is the graph of democracy going down. People's interest in participating in elections will reduce. So where in a previous election you were satisfied with a 60% turnout, tomorrow when you have a 30% turnout, that won't be my fault. Because the general sort of whisper that you pick up in Kashmir, right? Jammu is obviously has different sort of political landscape. But the general sort of whisper and sense people have is कि अगर इसको काम नहीं करने दे रहे हैं तो किसी को काम नहीं करने देंगे, फिर क्या फायदा? See, unlike Delhi, where they said अरविंद केजरीवाल को काम नहीं करने दिया, चलो बीजेपी को करते हैं. Here it will be, इसको काम नहीं करने दिया, छोड़ दो, फिर क्या, रहने दो, कोई फायदा नहीं. And that worry goes beyond my failure or the failure of the national conference or the failure of this government. That's the failure of the model of Indian democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. And if we are not interested in saving that, then so be it. Look, when you don't get to decide who your officers are, it's not a pretty picture. If I was to tell Government of India, Prime Minister Modi, that he is not going to decide who the secretaries of his various departments are in the Government of India, or who the next Chief of Army Staff would be, or so on and so forth, how easy would it be for him to govern? That's the situation we find ourselves in. I look after the department, but the administrative secretary is not of my choosing. I don't even get to discipline officers if their performance has been less than satisfactory.
So whom are they
Now,
accountable to?
well, they're obviously accountable to the person who puts them there, and in that, the distribution of power makes very clear that Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service, etc., are the direct responsibility of Raj Bhavan. But even the JKAS officers,
Case officers.
even there is a problem. Summarily, you decide which officers you want to send to Ladakh. Now, this, I understand, is part of the discretionary powers of Raj Bhavan. But some amount of consultation, because at the moment it appears as if the sending of officers to Ladakh is more as a punishment than anything else. It's almost as if a message is being sent to them that don't toe the line of the elected government, and if you do, you'll face the consequences. An officer in the Chief Minister's office was threatened with being sent to Ladakh. He was told in so many words, "Kya Ladakh jana hai aapko?" So, I mean, this doesn't make for a very healthy picture.
Yes.
Departments that are sort of cadre posts for the for the JKS, one relevant to you people, Director Information. Why is it that the Director Information post has been filled by an IAS officer? So that they don't come under the elected government. But it is a post that is ex officio meant for, it's a cadre post for JKS officers. I should be the one deciding who my Director Information is. I don't recognize my Director Information. If my Director Information was sitting here with you, I wouldn't know he's the Director Information. Why is this the case? It is now more than a year we don't have an Advocate General. Why? Why, when the elected government had chosen to allow the existing Advocate General to continue to work, why was he not allowed to work? I mean, secretariat meetings, I have not had a problem with them. Outside office, they tend to be a little reluctant to share the stage with us.
Because of fear?
Let's be honest here. जब LG साहब का गुरेज में प्रोग्राम होता है, तो पूरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वहाँ पहुँच जाती है चीफ सेक्रेटरी को लेके. जब हमारा प्रोग्राम श्रीनगर में होता है, तो मुश्किल से आप इन अफसरों को हमारे साथ स्टेज पे बैठते हुए देखोगे. Look, we have submitted what we believe is the correct interpretation of the Reorganization Act to sort of clarify the business rules. That has come into some amount of difficulty because there's a difference of opinion. Obviously, if it had been as smooth as we wanted it to be, they would have been notified by now. But at various levels, these things have been talked about. Particularly, like I said, on the posts that I mentioned to you, Advocate General, Director Information, bodies that, if, as has been said in the past, the Raj Bhavan is responsible only for security and law and order. Granted, then why is it that the Islamic University has not been returned to the elected government? In my previous government, the Chief Minister was Chancellor of the Islamic University, Avantipur. The Chief Minister was Chancellor of Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University. Governor was Chancellor of Kashmir University, Jammu University, Agriculture University, Mata Vaishno Devi University. No arguments. We know our place. But the Chief Minister is ex officio Chancellor of Islamic University, Avantipur, and Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University, Rajouri. Still not returned to us, in spite of the fact that we have moved this in the Secretariat. Jammu Kashmir Power Development Corporation. As Power Minister, I should ex officio be Chairman of the Power Development Corporation. Why am I not? Why the reluctance to give this back to us? Cultural Academy. I should be the Chairman of the Cultural Academy. The department is with me. Why has the Cultural Academy not been returned to the elected government?
So at the
Sher-e-Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences. Not a single SKIMS file comes to the elected government. Ask my health minister if she sees a SKIMS file. The only time we see a SKIMS file is when they want money from the finance department. Otherwise, nothing to do with the management of SKIMS comes to the elected government. Why? I am the chief minister. I should be chairman. My health minister should be vice chairman. If your responsibility is security and law and order, granted, I don't interfere in those decisions. Why are the bodies that should be part of the elected government not returned to us? Tell me, somebody, please. Why? Do I have to beg for these things to come back? Please, why? When you say, have you spoken, that means you're asking me whether I have gone and asked the LG to give these back to us. But what is the need? When the J&K Reorganization Act is clear, you're essentially demeaning the elected government by saying, आप जाके मांग लो. मैं वो मांगता जो मेरे हक की बात नहीं है. I would go and ask for something that is beyond what is rightfully mine. But what is rightfully the elected government's? Why are you demeaning the mandate by saying, go and ask for it? I don't understand it. It was a 3-stage process. Delimitation, election, statehood. Now, we keep hearing it will be returned at the appropriate time. Yet nobody has quantified what is the appropriate time. What is the yardstick by which I, as the elected chief minister of a government with a popular mandate, will know that we have reached the appropriate time? What steps do I have to take? Because ultimately, look, you need a goal. You have a newspaper, your goal is to improve your circulation. I run a marathon, my goal is to reduce the time I take to finish it. Similarly, as the elected chief minister with a mandate based on return of statehood, if I am told that statehood will be returned at the appropriate time, I'm not saying publicly, privately. I have sworn an oath of secrecy. If you tell me something privately, I'll keep it private. Tell me that this is the point. यहाँ पहुँचोगे, statehood आपको वापस मिलेगा. But again, we don't know. It's left vague. One interpretation of this is that the appropriate time will be when BJP is in power here. फिर तो बैठे रहो क्योंकि वो कभी पावर में आएंगे नहीं यहाँ पे. It's a subject of discussion. Obviously, it's fraught with its own risks. There are pluses and minuses. So we're examining. As long as the pluses outweigh the minuses, it's something that we will do. The matter is already in the Supreme Court, so it's not like I have much time to wait. Whatever has to be decided will have to be decided pretty soon. I mean, I was asked, and look, everything has a expiry period. Even patience has. How much patience are we expected? I'm not given to such theatrics, but look, obviously, the level of disappointment today is higher than it was a year ago. We had genuinely expected that within the first year, this promise made to the people, please understand, statehood is not about me. It's not about this house or this family or this political party or even this region. It's about Jammu and Kashmir. It's about a sovereign promise. It's about a promise made in Parliament and to the Supreme Court of India. I mean, that must count for something. I've already argued with you about the powers that have not been returned to us. And what welfare projects haven't we taken up? We have started new welfare projects. We have increased the quantum of social welfare payouts to deserving people. We have launched a new scheme for self-employment and entrepreneurship in Jammu and Kashmir called Mission Yuva. We have made free transport available to women across all government buses. We have made available subsidized electricity at a far better quality than was previously being maintained. We are completing infrastructure projects that have languished. I recently completed and inaugurated a bridge in Srinagar that I myself had put the foundation stone for in 2011. 14 years that bridge has languished. We completed it. There are similar projects like that. So please tell me where we are failing to deliver. The failure comes on the bigger promises. The promise linked to removal of the Public Safety Act. The promise linked to reviewing of the cases of all those youngsters who are languishing in jails outside of Jammu and Kashmir. The promise is linked to reviewing this government policy of summarily dismissing government employees without any process being followed. No transparency at all. The way in which legitimate occupants of land are sought to be removed from commercial establishments. These are the sort of things. But for this, statehood is required. Where it's not required, we're doing as much as we can.